Marina Mabrey assaulting Caitlin Clark.
Marina Mabrey came in looking for violence.
Marina Mabrey came up and shoved her to the ground.
The Caitlin Clark getting knocked down by Marina Mabrey.
Marina Mabrey was dirty, is dirty.
Marina Mabrey just cleaning out Caitlin Clark.
Where does this stop?
It started with a cheap shot. Marina Mabrey blindsided Caitlin Clark while she was still holding her eye from a previous poke.
Caitlin Clark gets poked in the eye. Marina Mabrey, she just decides to clean Caitlin Clark.
No ball in play. No excuse. Just a full-force shove that sent Caitlin crashing to the floor.
Marina Mabrey cheap shots a Caitlin Clark who had just been poked in the eye, with Caitlin Clark not even looking in her direction.
And now, finally, the WNBA has acted.
WNBA has broken their silence about Marina Mabrey. Marina Mabrey technical foul from last night's Fever game has been upgraded to a flagrant 2. The league told ESPN a flagrant 2 comes from a standard fine.
If you stand with Caitlin Clark 100%,
She's a star. You can't touch her. You can't breathe on her. But she can't be the league's fucking punching bag.
drop a CC 100% in the comments right now, because this moment changed everything.
Caitlin Clark is a gifted player.
Caitlin is the one.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most must-watch basketball player in world basketball right now. There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark does.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
It was one of the ugliest moments we've seen in the WNBA this season. And it wasn't just the physicality, it was the intent.
This is a physical league. You need to get used to it.
With 5:10 left in the third quarter,
This is 5:10 to go in the third quarter. The Caitlin Clark getting knocked down by Marina Mabrey. She threw a swinging back fist in a game and got away with it. One possession before getting away with knocking Caitlin on the ground. One possession later. This is one possession later. So does this happen? Does this happen?
Caitlin Clark was already reeling after J.C. Sheldon poked her in the eye. She held her face, trying to regain her composure, walking away from the action. That's when Marina Mabrey made a move that had nothing to do with basketball. Without even witnessing the incident between Clark and Sheldon,
J.C. Sheldon poked Caitlin Clark in the eye, and I've never seen a player get poked in the eyes.
Mabrey stormed across the court and delivered a vicious shove from behind, sending Caitlin crashing to the hardwood.
Marina Mabrey of the Sun comes up and just shoves Caitlin Clark.
It wasn't a defensive play. It wasn't a reaction to contact. It was an act of aggression, totally disconnected from the actual game. And yet, shockingly, referees on the court only issued a technical foul, not even a flagrant.
Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And J.C. Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
1 free throw, no possession, and no ejection. Caitlin had been assaulted, and the officials basically shrugged.
Caitlin Clark's technical foul has not been rescinded, that she got teched for essentially like clearing someone from her space after they poked her in the eye.
But that wasn't even the first red flag. Just 1 possession earlier, Marina Mabrey threw a spinning back fist.
How unhinged Marina Mabrey is, man. She is a deadly weapon out here, all right? Just crazy how she was behaving. Right? Now, honestly, if you look at the arms, nobody hit her in the face, man. She is just out here winning an Oscar, trying to get something going here. I mean, trying to find a reason to hit somebody.
Yes, a literal MMA-style move at Aaliyah Boston. If Boston hadn't ducked, that slap could have caused serious damage. Footage shows the referee staring directly at it, doing nothing.
All the way through. This was the second time I've seen a ref staring at something, just staring at it and not calling anything.
That sequence of violence, 2 straight dirty plays, went virtually unchecked in real time. And Mabry, she smiled. She laughed through the boos from the crowd, fully aware she was getting away with it. These weren't isolated moments. Mabry's behavior throughout the game was described as unhinged, dangerous, and a walking technical. It wasn't competitive fire, it was chaos disguised as toughness. Analysts and fans alike called her actions deliberate and reckless, demanding accountability.
Mabrey assessed the technical foul, was not ejected, and who's gonna step up and do something?
Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, did nothing to provoke the attack. Her only crime? Being Caitlin Clark, the most watched, most talked about player in the league. And this wasn't the first time.
The WNBA, you've got Caitlin Clark, and I feel like the WNBA does not know how to handle this. Man, she got beat up on the court. What's her face? Maybe stuck her fingers in her eye. Then she got shoved to the ground. Look at this. They were treating her like a damn punching bag. This was wild. The WNBA needs to learn how to manage this.
From Kennedy Carter to J.C. Sheldon and now Marina Mabrey, a pattern has emerged. Caitlin is being targeted.
If you check out here, you look at her nails. They are quite long. And in this next picture right here, where she's quite literally like digging them into Caitlin Clark's arm, you can understand where she was getting under Caitlin's skin. That caused tempers to flare. And right here, you see a lot of chirping starting, where JC says, "You can't do that." And Caitlin Clark says, "I can do whatever the bleep I want to do."
And this time, millions saw it live. They weren't just angry, they were fed up. The moment Marina Mabrey sent Caitlin Clark to the ground, the entire tone of the game, and frankly, the entire league, shifted. Fans erupted online. Analysts didn't hold back. What was supposed to be a fierce but fair WNBA matchup spiraled into one of the most controversial events of the season. The internet lit up with outrage, demanding justice for Caitlin and consequences for Mabry. But once again, the league's response felt too slow, too soft, and far too familiar.
There were 6 technical fouls issued, there were 3 ejections, and there were 2 flagrant fouls. For one game, that is bananas. Even the broadcasters at the time mentioned if they would have just ejected Marina Mabrey, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Immediately after the game, the backlash was intense. Multiple YouTubers and sports commentators dissected the incident frame by frame. They weren't just angry at Mabry, they were furious with the referees. Over and over, people pointed out that if Mabry had been ejected right away, as she should have been, the Sophie Cunningham retaliation, the brawl, and the storm of fines that followed never would have happened. The refs missed it. Again. Stephanie White, Indiana Fever's head coach, called it out directly in her post-game remarks.
Stephanie White lit the refs on fire in a way slightly underneath.
She emphasized how officials failed to set the temperature of the game.
The referees, they set the temperature for how the game is going to be played.
And openly criticized their inability to rein in the chaos early. And she wasn't alone. Social media platforms were filled with fans echoing the same thing. Caitlin Clark is being treated like a punching bag.
She's a star, you can't touch her, you can't breathe on her, but she can't be the league's fucking punching bag.
And the league's silence only fuels it. Meanwhile, Marina Mabrey, who wasn't even ejected from the game, mocked the backlash. When fans flooded her social media calling for a suspension or fine, she smugly replied, "Every time they comment, I make money." That's the level of accountability we're talking about. A player attacks the most valuable star in the league, avoids real punishment in-game, and laughs off the aftermath. It was like a slap in the face to every viewer who had tuned in to watch competitive basketball, not WWE-style antics. And then came the updates. Under mounting public pressure and widespread media coverage, the WNBA finally announced it had upgraded Mabrey's technical foul to a flagrant 2.
The referees just said, nah, was not worth an injection. She has now been upgraded to a flagrant 2. The contact made by Mabry did not rise to the level of ejection. Additionally, it did not meet the criteria for a flagrant 2 penalty. I've never seen a technical upgraded to a flagrant 2 before. I've never seen that happening before.
An action that should have happened instantly in-game. But the outrage didn't stop there. Because even with the flagrant 2 designation, there was no suspension, no game time missed, no real accountability, just a fine, something a veteran player like Mabry could easily shrug off. Compare this to the treatment Caitlin Clark receives. During the same game, Caitlin was handed a technical foul. For what? For trying to clear space after being poked in the eye. Let that sink in. Clark, the victim in the sequence, gets hit in the face, gets shoved to the floor, and still walks away with a tech. Meanwhile, the aggressor walks away laughing. And let's not forget the bigger pattern. This isn't Mabry's first incident. She has a history of over-the-top aggression, and fans are starting to see a clear line between playing hard and being reckless.
People are gonna get upset. And that is what made the entire game completely change. Leaving Marina Mabrey in, she was smiling about it. People were pissed. I mean, the crowd was just constantly booing her every single time she got the ball.
Some even questioned whether she deliberately used the chaos as a chance to take out the league's top draw. The hypocrisy didn't go unnoticed. Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin's teammate, was ejected and fined for defending Clark with a hard foul on J.C. Sheldon. Yet Marina Mabrey played the rest of the game after shoving Clark from behind. The difference? Sophie plays with Caitlin. Mabry, she plays against her. And that's what this entire situation exposed. A clear bias in how players are punished depending on who they're protecting or attacking. Even commentators like Dave Portnoy and sports media veterans pointed out the inconsistency.
Ratings go down 50% when she's not there. Ratings rocket through the roof when she is. Everybody has to watch. She's box office. So she's playing some girl, J.C. Sheldon, longtime rival from Ohio State. Now this girl can't hold, can you say jockstrap? I'll say can't hold her bra. Can't hold her underwear, okay? Can't hold Caitlin's jockstrap. She's not that good, but they hate each other. They play each other. It's always a little chippy. J.C. Sheldon today, she's getting cooked per usual.
They noted that the league seems more concerned with appearing fair than actually protecting its franchise player. As Portnoy bluntly put it, she's the only reason people are watching, and you let this happen? Fans, analysts, even former pros are all asking the same question now. What is the WNBA doing to protect its biggest asset? Because if the answer is nothing, then the problem isn't just with Marina Mabrey. It's with the system that allowed her to act like that and walk away untouched. This wasn't just an on-court incident, it was a boiling point. A moment where fans, players, and even casual viewers saw the double standard unfold in real time. Caitlin Clark has brought millions of new eyes to the WNBA.
WNBA is in a pivotal moment right now. They have the CBA coming up, and so much of the viewership, so much of the bottom line and revenue is dependent on none other than Caitlin Clark.
But if the league continues to allow her to be targeted, abused, and disrespected without serious consequences, they may end up losing the very audience she brought with her. What happened next wasn't just retaliation, it was a message. When the referees failed to protect Caitlin Clark, her teammate Sophie Cunningham did what no official seemed willing to do. She took a stand.
The boiling point was Sophie Cunningham's hard foul on J.C. Sheldon, and I truly think that this was a message that she was sending to the leagues, to the officiating, just like to everybody.
And not just in words. With just 46 seconds left in the game, J.C. Sheldon, who had poked Clark in the eye earlier, went up for what she thought would be an easy layup. But Sophie had other plans. In a move that has now gone viral, Cunningham delivered a hard foul that sent Sheldon crashing to the court. The crowd exploded. Not in shock, but in approval. Fans were chanting Sophie's name as she was ejected from the game. For the first time in a long time, someone in a Fever jersey made it clear. If you mess with Caitlin Clark, there will be consequences. It wasn't just physical, it was symbolic.
This is a physical league, you need to get used to it.
Cunningham wasn't just defending her teammate, she was defending the future of the franchise. The WNBA is at an inflection point, and Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind its current rise in relevance, revenue, and ratings. Yet game after game, she's the target of cheap shots, dirty fouls, and disrespect. The league can't afford to pretend this is normal anymore. Sophie's foul sparked a chain of events, ejections, multiple fines, and heated post-game interviews.
Sophie Cunningham's foul was much more in the line of basketball than Marina Mabrey's was.
But it also raised a larger question, one the league can't ignore. Who's going to protect Caitlin Clark if the refs won't? The evidence suggests that fans are tired of waiting for an answer, and so are the players. Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, made it clear in her post-game comments that enough is enough. She didn't hold back in criticizing the officiating, and she wasn't fined for it either, likely because the league knew she had a point. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark sat silently beside her, visibly frustrated. And who could blame her? At every turn, it seems like the officials are either asleep at the whistle or too afraid to take control. The irony?
Clark scored 32, dished out 9 assists to become the first player in WNBA history to have 100 points, 30 rebounds, 30 assists in a player's first 5 games of a season.
The same people who last year said Caitlin should get used to the physicality of the league are now crying foul because Sophie Cunningham dared to return that energy. Where was that outrage when Caitlin was being shoved from behind or scratched in the eye multiple times? Where were the cries for fairness then? The hypocrisy has never been more obvious. And yet, even with all this, Caitlin Clark has remained focused. She finished that very same game with 20 points, 4 threes, and a performance that reminded everyone why she's the most valuable player in the league. Not just for her stats, but for what she represents. She's a once-in-a-generation talent, the kind of athlete who doesn't just play the game, she transforms it.
Caitlin Clark in this particular game kept complaining that she was like scratching her arm and complained to the officials about it. And honestly, the entire game, they were jawing at each other. They were chirping at each other. Marina Mabrey always on the side, coming to her teammates' defense.
Let's not forget what she's brought to the WNBA in just a few months. Viewership up by 200%, ticket sales through the roof, sold-out arenas, a social media explosion, and national media coverage that the league has never seen before. The Caitlin Clark effect is real and measurable. Dave Portnoy said it best. Ratings go down 50% when she's not playing. She is box office.
The CBA based on numbers that Caitlin Clark is largely responsible for. Yes, she should be treated differently.
Kurt Schilling added, "The only reason I even watch the WNBA is because of Caitlin Clark." These aren't fringe fans. These are mainstream voices pointing out the undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark is the league right now, and that's exactly why the league's failure to protect her has become such a massive issue. When you let players like Marina Mabrey and Kennedy Carter treat Clark like a moving target, you're not just hurting the player, you're risking everything she's built.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from 3. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from 3-point range.
Imagine if she gets seriously injured from one of these cheap shots. What happens then? Does the league lose the momentum she created? Do casual fans tune out again? People like to say she shouldn't get special treatment, but the reality is she should, not because of favoritism, but because of her value. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry, none of them were officiated the same as bench warmers. That's not unfair. That's just business. When you carry the league is supposed to carry you back. What makes this situation even more urgent is that it's not just about basketball anymore. Caitlin Clark is shaping culture. Her presence has brought women's basketball into living rooms that never cared before. She's influencing young girls, changing brand deals, and setting records almost every time she steps on the court. The WNBA has never had a moment quite like this, and they may never get another one. So when players like Mabry get away with attacking her, when the refs let it slide, and when the league only reacts after public pressure, it sends a dangerous message. We'll protect the game, just not the player making it relevant. Sophie Cunningham understood that. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't wait for a whistle. She protected her teammate because someone had to. And in doing so, she lit a spark, one the league better not ignore. Because if they keep turning a blind eye while their biggest star is getting blindsided, they won't just lose Caitlin Clark, they'll lose everything she brought with her.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right. So she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. Just so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
This wasn't just another foul. This was the boiling point. Marina Mabrey crossed a line, and for once the league was forced to act, but only after fans, coaches, and the entire basketball world demanded it. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie. She's the reason the WNBA is finally in the national spotlight. And yet, game after game, she's been treated like a target. But now things are shifting. Sophie Cunningham stood up, the fans are speaking out, and the league is being held accountable.
She is just absolutely undeniable.
Caitlin Clark was just different. Caitlin Clark is the system.
Caitlin Clark is
generational talent we've needed.
She is the system.
She's fourth in the league in MVP voting.
Caitlin Clark is an absolute all-star. She is the Michael Jordan of this. This is the girl that girls have been waiting for forever.
If you're tired of seeing Caitlin Clark disrespected, if you believe it's time for real protection, not just for her, but for the future of women's basketball, drop a CC 100% in the comments. The message is clear. You don't silence the star, you protect her, and the world is watching.